Welcome back everyone to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over today's cryptocurrency news as well as Bitcoin's current price movements and where exactly the market is headed. So getting into the video, guys, Bitcoin again for the third or fourth day in a row has not really moved much at all, which is starting to get a little bit more alarming, which of course we'll get into once we jump into the charts. But besides Bitcoin, across the board, we do have mostly not really any moves really. A lot of my picks that I'm currently looking at for swing trades have not really been moving at all. And as we can see, as we scroll down, we haven't really seen much movement at all. We have 10% for Bitcoin SV, a few greens for some coins, but for the most part, pretty low amounts of push in both directions, both down and up. So Chainlink, for example, down 6% after such a large run up the last few days. But for the most part, we are seeing more red than green. Highest change over the last 24 hours, Hypercash is up 51%. Cash up 12%, Bitcoin SV, like we just touched on, up about 10%, Qtum up 4.8%, Steam up 3.15%, and a few others as well. But back up to the top highest market cap coins, Ethereum still wavering around that 125 mark after a large drop off after the run up to 160, as well as Litecoin seeing low 30s again after the run up to the $40 price range. So those are the top market cap coins that we're currently seeing. Of course, Bitcoin not really moving much, is pushing some uncertainty into the market currently, and that's what I wanted to get into right now with the chart. Currently, we are seeing further developments of the bear flag, like we talked about yesterday. I mentioned that we want to see developments towards the upside within the next few days or so, and this is just another day that we haven't seen any positive upside for Bitcoin. Further formation of a bear flag, as we can see here. And actually, I made a descending line right here showing that we have dropped off a few times pretty low, bounced off the support at 35.60 again. So that could be a good sign, considering that is where we hit before, 35.60. You would think if we were going to go to the downside that we would see a break in that support line and not just a bounce back up. But that's what we got. So we are seeing some mixed signals here again, like we've talked about for the last couple of days. It's a little hard to tell. If it was just a textbook bear flag pattern, it would be a bit easier. But as you can see, we are seeing some mixed signals from Bitcoin, but the rejection from some of the moving averages. And the problem is right now is Bitcoin is having a hard time gaining any sort of momentum, especially after these past two large drops. So really, until we see what kind of development we're going to see, if we break the support at 35.60 or if we break past that resistance at 3,700 and actually stay above that point, then we will start to know where exactly we're starting to move. So I would say 3,700 and then 35.60 are the points you guys want to watch for. And then when they hit that point, whichever point they hit, is it going to hold there or is it going to just jump back up? Because as we can see here, if we jump into the 5 minutes so you can see a little bit easier, we did have a massive sell-off down to that support level, but then we bounce right back up. So watch to see if it actually develops towards that point. Right now, actually, we are getting some sell-off, but again, we bounced off 3,600 and then came back up. So seeing more mixed signals develop even as we're speaking right now. So within, I would say, the next day or so, the next day to 2 days, if we don't get any more developments, I definitely would expect to head to the downside. And more reasons why is because if we take a look at the MACD on the 4 hour, not the 1 hour, the 4 hour is getting ready to reverse that momentum back towards the upside. So over the next 2 days, if we do get, obviously the MACD will cross at that point and start to show how much momentum we are actually having towards the upside. And if that's on the low side, then most likely we will have a break in the current support and head to the downside. So keep an eye on Bitcoin, guys. Again, levels you want to watch for: 35.60 and then 3,700, depending on which way it is going to go. But the new story that I wanted to touch on today, Tim Draper weighs in on his feelings on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin revolution is only just beginning. I read this story this morning and I thought I wanted to share it with you guys because I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how you feel about the future of Bitcoin. Many of you guys know, Tim Draper, very successful investor, not only in Bitcoin, but in equities markets as well. So it wasn't 10 years ago, but more like 15 when I first saw the potential for a digital currency. I've been through some big ups and downs in Bitcoin, but today I'm more certain than ever that Bitcoin revolution is coming. In 2004, I learned from a wealthy Korean industrialist that people were paying real money for digital items like weapons to use in massively multiplayer video games. The game was Lineage, which was taking Seoul by storm. It got me thinking that there was an amazing business in virtual goods coming. Later, first introduced me to Bitcoin in about 2011. He brought in Peter Vincenti's, his company CoinLab, to pitch us. Bitcoin was a new currency that could be used to store value and pay for anything, not just for advancement in a video game. So he quickly absorbed the basic of Bitcoin miners, wallets, and such. The decreasing number of Bitcoins available to be mined over time meant that the price of a Bitcoin would increase in value as fewer Bitcoins were mined and usage increased. In fact, as Bitcoin spread and their usage increased, it was likely that the currency would become more valuable. CoinLab would become a Bitcoin-focused innovator and miner. We made a small investment in the company. My son Adam started an accelerator called Boost VC, and he was actually the first investor in Coinbase, which is actually something I didn't know. Around that time, I asked Peter if I could buy $250,000 worth of Bitcoin. He bought some for me at about $6 each and stored them in Mt. Gox, the largest Bitcoin exchange at the time. He said he would also buy a high-speed mining chip from Butterfly Labs to get us even cheaper Bitcoin. Both of these efforts went south. As we know, Mt. Gox ended up losing, quote unquote, losing the Bitcoin, and then the miner that he bought was delayed, and rather than shipping it to Peter as ordered, Butterfly Labs used the chip to mine Bitcoins for themselves. So you can clearly see the greed all across the board in cryptocurrency. And then he goes into Bitcoin's resilience. So something that important happened with the failure of Mt. Gox. The price of Bitcoin only dropped about 20%, and the currency continued to be traded on other exchanges. I was flabbergasted and fascinated. I realized that the demand for the new digital currency was so strong that even a huge theft would not keep Bitcoin from creating a new way for us to transact, store money, and move money. Since the financial crisis, people were losing their confidence in government or fiat currencies. I went on to back a number of the Boost VC Bitcoin companies, and as I was discovering more and more uses, an enormous opportunity arose. And something that happened that gave me another shot at getting involved in Bitcoin opportunity: the U.S. Marshal's Office confiscated the Bitcoins owned by the Silk Road and online drug marketplace, and almost 30,000 Bitcoins were put up for auction. I looked at this opportunity to rebuy the Bitcoins that he lost. So the market price then was $618 per Bitcoin. At the last minute, I decided to bid higher than market price. I bid $632 and won all the Bitcoins. Another thing that I didn't know, he bought all the Bitcoins from the Silk Road crash, and the Bitcoins were put up for auction at that point. So after the inevitable buyer's remorse for paying a higher price than anyone else was willing to pay, I thought about how I could best drive a positive use for these Bitcoins with a tainted past. I decided that I would use them to support the proliferation of Bitcoin through emerging country marketplaces where people didn't have confidence in their own currencies. Many people in such countries are not bankable. Banks lose money on people who don't have enough to make all the paperwork worthwhile. Banking regulations set up to protect the little guy have actually kept the little guy from participating in the economy, almost guaranteeing that he will remain the little guy. There are billions of unbanked. So this is actually a point that I really like when it comes to cryptocurrency, because obviously most of you guys that are listening are in the United States or Europe, or at least in a more developed country. And I think one thing that we forget to often think about is the fact that there is billions of people that don't have access to simple things, these things that we feel entitled to, like a simple bank, like Bank of America, for example, is one of the banks that I use, at least for my checking account. And I'm just so used to being able to have a bank account, not have to worry about where my money is kept and things like that. And you don't really think about the billions of people that actually don't have access to simple things, to us at least, like a bank or a way to keep your money safe, from being stolen or misused or whatever. So then he goes into Bitcoin's great potential. I remain impressed by the possibilities of Bitcoin and blockchain. Bitcoin is a currency that is accepted everywhere without any government friction or interference, a stored value solution that doesn't require a holder to keep a room full of metals or art, and a frictionless currency that can move automatically based on a contract without the usual drag that comes from regulations and accounting rules. But there are many other uses. A Bitcoin wallet can be used as an escrow for a contract in transition, as a redistribution of an estate, or a transfer agent to distribute payments, dividends, or shares of stock. Blockchains can keep track of money, data, inventory, contracts, etc. And smart contracts can be designed such that they anticipate eventualities and automatically distribute funds appropriately. Corporations can use the blockchain to automatically pay employees their wages and benefits, pay shareholders their dividends, and pay note holders their interest and principal payments, all with precise accuracy and automated accounting. So again, he's just hitting home right here. These are some of the most simple uses for blockchain. They're simple, but yet they are so crucial and would have such a large impact on so many huge companies. So he continues on by saying the blockchain can manage three-way transfers with ease and eventually will handle retail transactions without the need for credit or debit cards. Insurance companies can use it to manage their claims and automate collections. Real estate escrows and titles can all be done quickly and easily between buyer and seller. Drugs and food can be authenticated by blockchain to guarantee their origins. And the U.S. government can manage Social Security, welfare, Medicare, workers' comp, disability, and all their data verification of citizens and business with Bitcoin and the blockchain, since blockchain is the perfect government employee. It is honest, incorruptible, secure, and fair. Really perfect way of putting that right there. It doesn't get much better than that, how he puts that. So I will actually leave the rest of this article for you guys to read. I'll actually leave a link to it down in the description below, right below the link to the free Facebook group for those of you guys who do want to join our free Facebook group. I know it's been delayed quite a lot now, but we should be up and running by this week. And yeah, so that's going to be all for this video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, hope you guys are enjoying the cryptocurrency markets right now. I know I had a great week over in our private group. We were able to clear about 18% this week before it kind of slowed down towards the end of the week as Bitcoin took a dump. But hopefully things turn better during this week. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. And again, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, guys.